a 1.6 trillion parameter AI model, open weights, available to download for free right now, and its maker claims it's closing the gap with the world's most expensive closed models. Let's find out how much of that is actually true. This is DeepSeek V4 Pro, and today we're going through exactly what's confirmed, what's still just a claim from the company itself, and how you can actually use it. No hype, just what's real. Let's start with the timeline, because this model didn't launch once, it launched in stages, and that matters for understanding what you're actually getting if you use it today. On April 24th, 2026, DeepSeek first previewed the V4 family. This included DeepSeek V4 Pro, a 1.6 trillion parameter model with 49 billion active parameters, and a smaller sibling, DeepSeek V4 Flash, at 284 billion total parameters with 13 billion active. Both were released as open weights under the MIT license, which is about as permissive as licensing gets, and both supported a context window of up to 1 million tokens right out of the gate. Now here's an important distinction. That April release was explicitly a preview. It was not the finished general availability version. Independent labs and reviewers did test that preview build, and by most independent benchmarking at the time, it landed meaningfully behind the top closed source flagship models from companies like Anthropic and OpenAI by a fairly wide margin on several tests. Then, on July 31st, 2026, DeepSeek officially released V4 Flash, the smaller model in the family, as build 0731. This was a real finished release, not a preview. Open weights went live on Hugging Face, packaged as a 166.9 gigabyte download across 48 shards, still under the MIT license, with a live API in public beta. At that point, DeepSeek said the Pro model's API was staying as is for now, with an official general availability release to follow soon. That follow-up came on August 12th and 13th, 2026. DeepSeek V4 Pro, build 0813, officially left preview status and went generally available across DeepSeek's API, DeepSeek Chat, and third-party routing platforms like OpenRouter. This is the version most people mean today when they say DeepSeek V4 Pro, the finished flagship, not the April preview. Let's talk architecture for a moment, because DeepSeek made some genuinely interesting engineering choices here. V4 Pro uses a hybrid attention design that combines what the company calls compressed, sparse attention and heavily compressed attention, specifically built to make working with extremely long context windows far more efficient. According to DeepSeek's own technical documentation, at the full 1 million token context length, V4 Pro needs only about 27% of the inference compute and roughly 10% of the memory cache compared to their previous V3.2 model. That's a substantial efficiency claim, and it's documented in their published technical report alongside the model weights. Though, as with any vendor-reported efficiency figure, it's worth treating as their own measurement until it's replicated independently. They also introduced something called manifold constrained hyperconnections, designed to stabilize how information flows across the model's layers while training. Now, the part everyone actually wants to know. How good is it really? Here's where we need to be careful and precise, because this is exactly where a lot of coverage online gets sloppy. DeepSeek has published its own comparison using its own benchmark selections, claiming the 0813 general availability build performs very close to top closed source models on a range of agentic and reasoning benchmarks, and that it leads other open source models in world knowledge, trailing only one closed model. Those are DeepSeek's own reported numbers, run on their own infrastructure. As of the most recent reporting available, no independent lab outside the company has published a full benchmark of the 0813 build yet. The version that got heavily independently tested was the April preview, and that preview scored notably behind the top closed models on some evaluations, which is a very different picture than the one DeepSeek's own August numbers paint for the finished release. So what should you actually take away from that? The gap between DeepSeek's self-reported numbers and independent verification isn't unusual for a brand new release. It just means the full trustworthy picture isn't finished yet. If you see a headline claiming V4 Pro definitively beats or matches a specific closed model, treat that as a claim from one side until independent testing catches up. What is independently confirmed is the architecture, The open license, the parameter counts, and the fact that this is a real, live, generally available model you can use today, not vaporware. On pricing, one of DeepSeek's most consistent selling points across their model line has held true here too. V4 Pro is priced dramatically lower than many closed source competitors on a per token basis, which is a major reason developers keep paying attention to this company regardless of how the benchmark debates shake out. So how do you actually try it? If you just want to chat with it, head to chat.de-epseek.com, where you can access it through expert mode or instant mode depending on how much reasoning depth you want. If you're a developer, the API is live and updated, and it's also available through third-party routing platforms like OpenRouter, which lets you choose how requests are handled, whether you're optimizing for lowest price, fastest speed, or highest tool calling accuracy. And because the underlying weights for the V4 family are open under the MIT license, you can also download and self-host versions of these models if you have the hardware for it, particularly the smaller V4 Flash variant. Where DeepSeek V4 Pro is genuinely positioned to shine is agentic work, tool use, and complex reasoning tasks like advanced math, software engineering, and enterprise assistant use cases, all built around that massive 1 million token context window, which lets it work with huge code bases or lengthy documents without losing track of earlier context. If you're deciding whether to try it yourself, my honest advice is this: test it on your own real tasks, rather than trusting any single benchmark chart from DeepSeek or anyone else. Benchmarks, especially self-reported ones on a brand new release, are a starting point for curiosity, not a final verdict. If breakdowns like this, the kind that separate what's confirmed from what's still just a claim, are useful to you, do me a favor. Follow this page and subscribe to the channel, because this space is full of noise right now, and we are here to cut through it, not add to it. So that's DeepSeek V4 Pro, a 1.6 trillion parameter, open weight, MIT licensed model, now fully out of preview as of mid-August 2026, with genuinely efficient long context architecture and strong self-reported benchmarks that are still waiting on independent confirmation. Let me know in the comments if you've tested it yourself and what you found. I'll see you in the next one.